Kamito was a degenerate like you who discovered he's the only man who can use spirit magic. However, everything changes when he enrolls in an all-girls school, where they all try to boss him around until he reveals that he is the greatest swordsman alive, and claps them for fun. On the way to school, Kamito mistakenly runs into a slim mage baddie named Clare while she's taking a dip in a hot spring. Seeing the shock on Clare's face, Kamito quickly tells her not to be scared because he isn't into flat-chested chicks. But this remark pisses Clare off, so she attacks him with her fire magic. In her rage, she accidentally slices a tree and almost gets crushed by it, but Kamito saves her at the last minute. While Clare recovers, she finds Kamito's hands fondling her plot.
Yeah, boy.
So she knocks him out. When Kamito wakes up, he sees Clare dressed in her uniform and realizes she attends the same academy he is heading to. He then shows her a letter from Headmaster Greyworth, making her wonder why Greyworth would want to see a man. Kamito asks Clare what she's doing in the woods, so she tells him she intends to form a contract with the spirit. She then takes him to a dungeon where she finds the legendary spirit sword and tries to form a contract with it, but the sword resists her and attacks her instead. Kamito steps in to save her, but the stubborn chick still insists on taming the sword herself and unleashes Scarlet, her overpowered fire spirit. At first, Scarlet manages to keep up with the legendary sword, but it quickly turns the tide and stabs Scarlet in the chest. Before Clare can process this, the legendary sword attacks her too, but Kamito steps in and forms a contract with the sword, leaving Clare completely shocked. She questions how he did it because she's never heard of a man forming a contract with a spirit, but he stays silent because the last man who did it was the demon lord who brought chaos to the world, since he stole the spirit she came here for. Clare ropes him and takes him to the academy, hoping to turn him into a servant, but the dude manages to slip away. Afterward, he reaches Greyworth's office and overhears an argument inside. As he decides to wait, a hot mage named Ellis attacks him, thinking he's eavesdropping. When she realizes that Kamito is a dude, she threatens to chop off his sausage and feed it to the dogs. But Greyworth, the hot step mommy headmaster, tells her to stand down and wait outside. After that, Greyworth tells him that Restia, his previously contracted spirit, is still alive, but she won't tell him more until he enrolls in the academy. After the meeting, Ellis gives Kamito a tour of the academy, but when she notices him walking behind her, she assumes he's checking out her cakes and threatens to air fry his sacks. After that, she assigns him a stable instead of a dorm room because he looks and acts like a donkey. In the end, Ellis leaves Kamito outside his class, but Clare finds him and ties him up for being friendly with another chick despite being her servant. However, when he points out that he can see her silky garments, Clare turns red and starts crying because Kamito has seen her unplotted side twice in a row. Feeling bad for her, Kamito apologizes to her and also reveals that Ellis was just showing him around the school. He also reveals that he's been admitted to this academy, and it shocks Clare because only females who can form spirit contracts are admitted here. When Kamito reminds her that he can also form spirit contracts, she accuses him of stealing her spirit and demands that he form a master-slave contract with her. Despite agreeing, Kamito says they'll have to share a French kiss for the contract to work.
You can do it!
But Clare gets flustered and begs him to stop. Just then, the homeroom teacher named Freya catches Kamito in a kissing position with Clare and drags the dude to class. Here, Kamito introduces himself as the new transfer student, but before he can get acquainted with his classmates, Clare announces that he's her servant and forces him to share a seat with her. However, another mage named Rinslet saves Kamito and calls dibs on his sausage, and it leads to a struggle between the thirsty girls. Just then, a maid tries to resolve the fight but slips on the stairs. Kamito tries to cushion her fall but ends up trapped between the maid's milkers, so everyone starts calling him a plot-cultured addict. That evening, Kamito lies in his shed and recalls Greyworth telling him that the Blade Dance tournament is starting in 2 months, and she needs him to win it because he's the only one who stands a chance against the strongest blade dancer named Ren, who will be fighting alongside the darkness spirit, Restia. After thinking it over, Kamito realizes he has no choice but to stay in this academy. Presently, Clare gathers some food cans from her fridge because she thinks Kamito might be hungry, but she claims she's only doing it because he's her servant. All the while, Kamito lies in bed, recalling what Freya told him after class. Back then, she said that the Blade Dance tournament is a ritual held in honor of the 5 great spirit lords, and that the country represented by the winning team will receive the protection of the spirit lords for a few years. She also said that the country would become prosperous, which she claimed was the reason the girls in the academy chose to fight. Out of curiosity, she asked Kamito what he was fighting for, but he lied and said he only came here because Greyworth summoned him. After the conversation, Kamito recalled that another perk of winning the tournament was that the winner would be granted any wish. In the present, Camito is starving, and he wishes he had some cash because the food at the cafeteria is expensive. Much to his surprise, Rinslet arrives with a food tray, but says she'll give it to him only if he barks like a faithful dog and agrees to be her servant. Camito says over his dead body and slams the door, but she starts kicking it, begging him to hear her next offer. This time, she tells Camito to lick her feet first, but when he refuses, she gives up on the weird requests and serves him the food anyway. Camito thanks her for it and says they can be friends if she wants. Her cheeks turn red when she hears this, so she tells Camito she fed him leftovers so he doesn't get the impression that she likes him. Just then, Clare shows up and starts yelling at Rinslet for coming to feed Camito. When Clare calls Rinslet a female dog, Rinslet gets pissed and decides to show her the real definition of a female dog by summoning her contracted wolf spirit, Fenrir, to attack Clare. Clare calls Fenrir a dog, so Rinslet responds by calling her a flat-chested goat. This pisses Clare off, and she summons Scarlet to attack Rinslet. As their battle begins, Camito's little hut takes damage and starts burning, so Clare calls off the fight. Seeing the damage, Rinslet brags that she'll stop the fire without breaking a sweat, but in the process, she mistakenly destroys Camito's hut. Not long after, Ellis shows up and yells at both culprits for staging a fight on school grounds. One of her comrades from the school's night order starts mocking Clare for being a traitor's younger sister, which pisses Clare off. Before Ellis and her girls leave, Clare tells them she won't tolerate disrespect toward her family and challenges them to a duel. Rinslet is also game for the duel, so Ellis accepts the challenge and includes Camito so the fight will be balanced. Later on, Clare hosts Camito in her dorm room because the dude is now homeless, but since her room is a mess, she orders Scarlet to clean it up. When Scarlet is done, Camito starts going through Clare's book collection and realizes she's the kind of girl who likes to get chained and clapped. Feeling embarrassed, Clare begs him not to go through her stuff, but that's when Bro accidentally picks up her silky garment and hides it in his pocket so she won't roast him. After that, Camito asks why she doesn't have a roommate, and she says no one wants to share a room with her. Camito then asks about her blade dance teammates, but she says she doesn't need anyone, insisting that all she needs for the tournament is a powerful contracted spirit. In the kitchen, Camito sees that Clare only has canned food and realizes it's because she can't cook. Though she doesn't admit this, she yells at him to eat whatever he sees, then walks away to take a shower. About 5 minutes later, Camito hears Clare screaming from the bathroom and dashes in to see what's up. Lo and behold, he finds this chick being clapped by a water spirit and realizes he won't need OnlyFans anymore if he keeps watching. However, before the water spirit can make Clare reach Cloud 9, Camito weakens it with his spirit crest and saves her. Clare is in tears because she just lost her first time to a cultured spirit, so Camito reaches into his pocket to get her something to wipe her tears. To his shock, he pulls out her silky garment, and Clare sees it, so she decides to air fry Camito's sacks as punishment. After Camito regrows his sacks, Clare joins him for dinner and is impressed because his food is delicious. Out of curiosity, Camito asks her why she's after a strong spirit, so she says she wants to see her sister again. Apparently, her sister is Rubia, who earned the name Calamity Queen after destroying almost half of her country, and Clare wants to see her again to understand what really made her go wild. Presently, Camito realizes he isn't any different from Clare because there's someone he's been wanting to see for the past 3 years. He then follows Clare to an astral gate, which leads to Astral Zero, a place where battles can be fought while sustaining minimal injuries. Upon reaching it, Clare starts talking about the Blade Dance tournament, saying that she watched Ren in the previous one and admired her because she wanted to be as strong as Ren. She also adds that Ren's win helped clean up the mess Rubia made, and she feels like she owes Ren a thank you. Soon, Clare arrives at the fighting arena and realizes that Rinslet is already waiting for her. Clare says she took so long because she was attacked by a water spirit, but she refuses to explain what happened because Camito saw her unplotted in the shower. Shortly after, Ellis and her 2 friends, Raka and Restia, show up at the arena for their duel, so Clare's team begins preparing to fight. At the start of the match, Ellis summons her contracted spirit and uses the flying bird to attack Camito, but the dude dodges. He then summons his contracted weapon, expecting a big black sword, but is shocked because it's shorter than your ex's sausage. When Clare asks what's going on, he says he's a little rusty because he hasn't used a contracted spirit in 3 years. As a result, Clare starts attacking Ellis to cover for Camito, but she gets pushed back by Restia. When Restia tries to attack Clare again, Rinslet takes a surprise icy shot at her, causing her to pass out. With her out of the way, Clare attacks Raka, buying Camito enough time to go after Ellis, but he fumbles his opening when he throws his sword at her. Ellis laughs at him for being incompetent and prepares to attack him with her spirit weapon. Unfortunately, that's when Camito falls for her looks. telling her she's hot and that he's definitely smashing. This annoys Ellis, so she uses her wind magic to attack him, but he survives thanks to Clare and Rinslet. However, when Ellis tries to attack again, Kamito tells her to stop because something's wrong. All of a sudden, a portal opens and out pours an overpowered demon spirit sent by Restia. Turns out Restia is only doing this because she's missed Kamito. Plus, he isn't as strong as he was in the past, and she wants him to unlock his potential. Back at the fighting arena, Kamito sees the demon spirit and realizes that the earlier attack on Clare was no coincidence. With the demon spirit attacking, Ellis ends the duel, insisting that everyone returns to Earth while she covers for them, but Clare refuses. She intends to cover for everyone because she wants to defeat the demon spirit and form a contract with it, leaving everyone shocked. Although Kamito tells her she might die, she refuses to back down, thinking it'll be her only chance to face a powerful spirit. She also reminds him that she has a goal and calls him a weak loser because he can barely handle his contracted spirit. As the demon spirit attacks, Clare charges ahead and uses her flaming whip to flog it to submission, but the beast takes it like it's nothing. Realizing that the demon spirit is tougher than expected, Clare decides to land a nasty fireball on it, but the spirit comes out unfazed and tries to eat her. Clare manages to dodge by sheer luck, but when Kamito notices that she's way past her limit, he decides to take matters into his own hands. As she runs into the battlefield, he realizes that Clare is just a normal girl and that she's lonely, so he wouldn't want anything to happen to her. All the while, the monster spirit catches up to Clare and opens its mouth to eat her, so Scarlet assumes her cat form and attacks it. Although she manages to land a heavy hit, Clare begs her to stop because the demon spirit is too strong, but Scarlet doesn't listen and ends up getting torn apart. The loss breaks Clare's heart, and she starts crying her eyes out because what just happened is her fault. While sulking and begging for someone to save her, Kamito arrives and summons his spirit sword to fight the demon spirit. At first, his body reacts to the summoning because it hasn't adjusted after losing Restia, but the next time he tries summoning his spirit weapon, it materializes, and he uses it to split the monster in one devastating strike. As the demon spirit dies, Clare lashes out at Kamito for taking too long to save her, but she stops and blames herself for everything, calling herself a weak mage. Kamito tries to cheer her up, but all of a sudden, he becomes weak and passes out from exhaustion. Many years ago, when Kamito was a youngster, he was recruited into an organization that trained him into a fighter with no feelings. He withstood harsh training and was locked up in a cell every day, until he was selected as the suitable candidate to form a contract with Restia as the successor of the Demon Lord. In the present, Kamito wakes up from a long nap and wonders where Clare is. When he notices something moving under his sheets, he raises them, only to find an unplotted girl named Est lying on his sausage. He curiously asks Est what she's doing in bed with him, so she says it's because she belongs to him. She then calls him master, which shocks Kamito and makes him wonder how he ended up with unplotted chick. First, he slams himself for being a degenerate loser, but calls that off because he isn't the type to unplot a random chick and have her spend the night. Est, seeing the worried look on Kamito's face, asks what's wrong, but Kamito gets fed up with her calling him master and asks her to give him some context about what's going on. Est says she's calling him master because he's her master, then proceeds to ask if she could call him daddy instead. Kamito says that's worse, so she insists on calling him One-I-Chan, but he refuses and tells her to stick with his first name instead. Just then, Kamito hears footsteps approaching the room, so he begs Est to hide. Since Est is about as smart as a brick, she chooses to hide under the sheets, making Kamito uncomfortable when Rinslet enters the room with Carol. Rinslet is happy to see that Kamito is awake, and it turns out that Rinslet brought him to her room after he passed out last night. Kamito thanks Rinslet for the help, and her cheeks turn red, so she tells him not to think too much about it so he doesn't start imagining that she wants him to paint all her cheeks red. On the side, Carol mentions that Rinslet was also concerned about Clare because they've been friends for a long time, which makes Kamito relieved since he thought Clare was all alone. After that, Rinslet tells Kamito to get prepared for school since he's properly rested already, but Kamito refuses, begging her to let him get changed first. Rinslet considers it, but when she notices something moving under Kamito's sheets, she wonders what kind of sorcery this is. Carol says it might be Kamito's early morning sword, but Rinslet ignores her and checks the sheets herself. She's shocked when she finds Est and a bit jealous when Est starts hugging Kamito. Scared for his life, Kamito says he can explain, so Rinslet decides to hear him out. After Kamito explains his side of the story, Rinslet summons Fenrir to bite off his sacks because she doesn't believe him. As Fenrir attacks, Est tames the wolf and tells him to sit, then pats his head like a good doggy, leaving everyone utterly shocked. Seeing this, Kamito suspects that Est is a spirit, and she admits it, saying she's contracted to him. A while later, Est heads out with Camito and is excited that she gets to enjoy this world again after being stuck as a sword for over a millennium. She then tells Camito she wants to be friends with benefits, so Camito takes that as a compliment to avoid paying alimony. When he realizes Est turned down forming contracts with other mages, he asks why she chose him, and she says it's because he'll fit. She also adds that they're alike, but when Camito asks how, she refuses to answer. All of a sudden, Ellis appears behind him, holding a sword to his neck, thinking he's trying to riz Est into spending the night with him. Est immediately uses her powers to fold Ellis's sword, while Camito reveals that she's his contracted spirit. Feeling bad for doubting Camito, Ellis apologizes and then reveals that Clare has locked herself up in her room because she lost Scarlet. Camito says he checked Clare's room before heading out and didn't find her there, so Ellis reveals that there's a contracting ceremony in the Academy City and Clare might be going there. When Camito asks how the contracted spirits are acquired, Ellis says a blade dance battle will be fought. Hearing this worries Camito because if Clare engages in a blade dance match without a contracted spirit, she might die, so he asks where the event is and starts sprinting to find her. In the meantime, Restia finds Clare and offers her dark power, claiming it will bring out her true potential, and Clare accepts it. At the contracting event, lots of people gather around, cheering for different matches being fought in the battle arena. When it's Clare's turn to fight, the crowd begins yelling that she'll be crushed to bits because they don't like her, but she manages to keep up despite being outnumbered. When she gets fed up with evading attacks, she activates her fire elemental magic to fight her opponent, but the flames are reflected as if they're nothing. As a result, she gets countered and tossed to the ground, and her opponents begin mocking her for being the Calamity Queen's younger sister. Their comments piss her off, so the dark power Restia gave her earlier feeds off her hate and materializes into a wild cat. The dark aura then spreads to her opponent's contracted spirits, causing them to go berserk and attack everyone. Everyone in the crowd starts running for their lives, but that's when Camito shows up and realizes that all the contracted spirits are possessed. He also realizes that the wild cat near Clare might be Scarlet, and Est confirms this, explaining that Scarlet isn't the type of spirit that gets devoured easily. As she mentions that Scarlet might die if she remains in her berserk state, Camito begs her to lend him her power to help save Scarlet, and Est agrees. After Est assumes her sword form, Camito uses her to land a speed attack on Scarlet. He then reaches out to Clare, asking her if she really desires dark power, warning that it will only lead to destruction. Although Clare is shocked by the disaster she's caused, she snaps and tells Camito that she needs more power. Saying this makes her flash back to the time when her sister attacked and destroyed their home. Back then, she was ostracized by society and was called a witch, and now in the present, she tells Camito that he doesn't know what it feels like to go through that kind of pain. Regardless, Camito tells her she isn't alone, offering to be by her side anytime she needs him, but she whips him in the face and tells him to leave her alone. As she sees blood dripping from Camito's face, she feels bad for hitting him and wonders why he didn't dodge. However, Camito pats her head, telling her it's okay, and then adds that he loves her flames and wouldn't want to see them tainted. Hearing this makes Clare feel better, and she smirks, thinking Camito has always been her servant. Just then, Scarlet attacks from behind, so he uses his sword to defend Clare. While holding off the beast, Camito tells Clare that Scarlet is alive, only that she's temporarily lost herself. As Clare realizes Scarlet is the one attacking Camito, she infuses her contract crest with fire, causing both her and Scarlet to weaken. Camito takes advantage of this and slices off the magic crystal that's causing Scarlet to go berserk, and the rest of the affected contracted spirits revert to normal. While Camito checks on Clare to see if she's okay, he asks where she got the dark powers from, and that's when Restia appears. Seeing her for the first time in years shocks Camito to his bones, and he struggles to believe she's real. Restia smiles at him and tells him she's missed him, but then unleashes a dark spirit into the guardian spirit floating above. Clare tells Camito to be careful because Restia is the one who gave her the dark powers. After the guardian spirit falls onto the arena, Camito asks Restia why she's doing this, and she tells him it's what he wants. As she flies away, Camito realizes that everything happening is his fault and that Restia has become evil because of him. While he's sulking, Clare drags him away to prevent him from getting crushed. In a corner, she asks who Restia is and learns that she used to be Camito's contracted spirit. Camito continues blaming himself for everything bad that's happened, but Clare tells him to snap out of it and take responsibility for his actions. She points him to the infected guardian spirit, hinting that the entire city will be leveled if they don't do something to stop it. Although Camito says he's ready to fight, Clare isn't convinced his head is fully in the game yet, so she kisses him to wake him up. Doing this makes her cheeks turn red.
Nice.
So she says it's only a one-time thing and drags Camito to fight the guardian spirit. On the way, she begs Camito to take the offensive while she supports from the back because Scarlet is currently weak. Camito accepts and leads the charge, then jumps to fight the guardian spirit. His fighting technique makes Clare see a reflection of Ren in him, so she uses what's left of her powers to restrain the guardian long enough for him to finish it off. As Camito lands the finishing strike, Clare sees Ren's reflection again and is convinced that Camito fights like him. However, she's shocked when she looks back and finds that Camito has already passed out from exhaustion. A few clicks away, some dude watches everything that goes down and smiles as he walks away. The following morning, Camito wakes up and is stunned to find an unplotted Est under his sheets again. This time, he doesn't hear any footsteps at the door, so Clare walks in and finds him with Est. In the meantime, Rinslet is rushing to see him when she bumps into Ellis, who asks what's going on. Rinslet returns the question, asking Ellis what she's doing here. Ellis claims she wants to thank Camito for saving the city, but suspiciously remarks that it's the only thing she wants to do. However, when she arrives to see Camito, she finds him tied up on the bed with Est and is shocked. Camito is relieved as he sees the girls because they know who Est is, but as he begs them to explain things to Clare, they join Clare and threaten to unalive him if he doesn't explain how he ended up in bed with Est. About 4 years ago, a girl named Fiona was under attack by a demon spirit in the Astral Zero, and she tried her best to fight it off. In doing so, she exhausted all her magic and fell victim to a powerful attack from the demon spirit. However, when the demon spirit tried to finish her off, Camito arrived from nowhere and protected her. He then used Restia in her sword form to slice off the demon spirit, leaving Fiona shocked. When he was done, Fiona looked at him and felt like she had met him before, but when she saw his sword, she realized he was Ren. Shocked, she called Camito out on it because, last she checked, Ren was a girl. Camito explained that he identified as a girl to hide his identity and begged Fiona to keep his secret, which she agreed to because he saved her life. After that, he promised to escort her out of the woods because it wasn't safe, but when he noticed she had lost her shoes, he offered to carry her on his back instead. On the way, Fiona asked him why he faked his gender to enter the Blade Dance tournament, and he told her he wanted a wish to come true, though he didn't say what it was. Soon, Camito exited the woods and bid farewell to her because he had another battle to fight. Before he left, Fiona realized the name Ren was fake and asked for his real name, which Camito told her. She then asked if she would get to see him again, and he said yes, promising to meet her after the tournament was over. In the present, Fiona rides in on a chariot heading to the academy and forgives Camito for not fulfilling his promise because at least she'll get to see him again. Meanwhile, Camito wakes up from sleep and realizes it's been a week since his encounter with Restia. As he stretches to start his day, he finds himself fondling something soft and squishy, only to see that it's Est's chest.
Yeah, boy.
Immediately, he pulls back to avoid anything freaky and tells Est to get off him. However, Est kisses him, claiming it's his wake-up kiss, and even hints at giving him an early morning sloppy toppy. When Camito scoffs at this, Est becomes jealous because Clare kissed him, so she reminds him that she's his contracted spirit and has every right to kiss him. As she goes in for another kiss, Clare heads out of the shower and catches them, so Camito tries hitting her with the I can't explain move. As Clare angrily charges closer to listen, Camito closes his eyes because he can see her floodgates.
Wow!
When Clare notices, she becomes pissed and presents Camito with two options.
Do you like it shaved or recently shaved?
I prefer it bushy.
Later that morning, Freya assembles the students for a friendly team battle and informs them that their performance will determine their school rankings. Since Camito is unfortunate enough to only have Clare as his teammate, he complains that his matchup against 5 other mages is unfair, but Freya tells him she doesn't care. She also reminds him that he can't participate in the Blade Dance tournament unless he has 5 people in his group, so Clare brags that she'll find more people before the deadline. After the training, she starts stress eating because she and Camito lost the training match. Their opponents had stalled them long enough for their last comrade to activate her legendary contracted spirit, unleashing wild beasts on them, and they stood no chance. When Camito's team lost, Freya advised them to get more members for their unit as fast as possible, then questioned why Camito fought as if he were lonely. Currently, Camito looks lost in thought as he stares at his hand, so Clare notices and asks if he's thinking about his old contracted spirit. Though Camito doesn't admit it, Clare tells him to open up every once in a while, and he smiles. Just then, Rinslet shows up with Carol and roasts Clare for eating a simple lunch, when in reality, Clare wants to join Camito at the table. When Camito tells her to have a seat, Clare steps on his foot as punishment, and then listens as Carol mentions that there's a new transfer student. Carol remarks that the girl has S-ranked milk cannons and asks Camito if he's interested, which makes Clare jealous since she's flat-chested. After that, Rinslet realizes that Clare hasn't been able to form a squad of 5 for the Blade Dance tournament, but when she's asked, Clare claims she can't join a team because most people don't fit her expectations. Carol translates this, saying that Clare actually found a team, but her ego pushed them away, leaving her all alone. On the other hand, Clare wonders if there's anyone good for her team, and although Rinslet hints at letting her join, she acts clueless. Seeing this, Kamito realizes that Rinslet wants to join his team and tries whispering to Clare to let her in. At first, Clare refuses because she doesn't like Rinslet and might want to have Kamito to herself. She also mentions that Rinslet doesn't like teamwork, which showed in their last team up against Ellis. Despite that, Kamito tells Clare to at least consider the fact that Rinslet is alone, so she agrees and asks Rinslet to join her team. Rather than saying yes, Rinslet replies as if Clare's begging her to join and even hints at making Clare and Kamito join her team instead. Clare says she'd rather team up with a blind goat, leading to an argument, but things calm down when Ellis shows up and asks to speak to Kamito. When she looks at him to make a request, she falls for his looks and forgets what she wanted to say. Some girls watching remark on how she went from an alpha female to a smash-me chick the moment she saw Kamito's face, which ticks her off, and she claims she isn't into guys like him. She then remembers what she wanted to say and asks him to join her team because he's strong, but Clare hugs him and says he isn't going anywhere. This makes Kamito realize that Clare is traumatized about being abandoned, so he declines Ellis's offer and thanks her for recognizing his potential. Ellis smiles at him because he's loyal, then summons him to the headmaster before leaving. On reaching Greyworth's office, Kamito starts roasting the lady for using makeup at 100 years old, while Greyworth roasts him for being only 2 inches long. When they're done, Greyworth tells Kamito that there's someone she wants him to meet. Just then, Fiona enters the room, and Kamito stares at her, realizing he's going to lose gallons tonight. Seeing Kamito for the first time in 3 years, Fiona gets excited but is a bit disappointed because he doesn't remember her. When Kamito asks who she is, he's shocked when Greyworth reveals that she's a princess. Greyworth also tells him to protect her with his team, while Fiona looks forward to having a blast with him. In the meantime, Restia meets with Geo in the city and informs him about a mining city that's of interest to her. Since the seals in the mine are high class, Geo offers to steal sealing documents from the Academy's library, so breaking past the mine seal will be a walkover. Although he doesn't exactly know what Restia is after, Geo says he's only doing her bidding to prove that he's the true successor of the Demon Lord. Back at Greyworth's office, Kamito kneels and apologizes to Fiona for not treating her like a princess, but Fiona tells him it's no big deal and reveals that she's the Lost Queen. Hearing this, Kamito realizes she doesn't have any recognition and that she was one of the princesses from the same country as Rubia when Rubia burned everything to the ground. Greyworth adds that about 4 years ago, Fiona was appointed as the second princess to take Rubia's place, but Fiona chose to step down from the position, and her family disowned her because of it. After the explanations, Fiona formally introduces herself to Kamito, but Kamito closes his eyes because he can already see her floodgates. When Fiona notices, she becomes embarrassed and calls Kamito a cultured freak, while Greyworth tells both of them to get a room. Before they leave, Greyworth tells them about a mission involving the investigation of a mining city due to reports of suspicious earthquakes. Just then, Freya enters and mentions that there's a strategic military spirit in the mine and that it's god-tier dangerous. Kamito panics after hearing this, but Greyworth tells him to only investigate the mine, and if he finds that the seal has been undone, Fiona will perform a spirit dance ritual to restore it. Kamito replies that he'll only consider the mission if Clare approves, which shocks Fiona because she knows who Clare is. After the meeting, Kamito curiously asks Fiona if she's okay with him being her guard, and she says yes. She admits she specifically requested him, but as she chats with him, some girls watching in the hallway think Kamito's razor Shara Riz is at work again. They start calling him the Demon Lord of the bedroom, but that doesn't stop Fiona from getting touchy, making things worse. As Kamito struggles to keep all the culture within him from rising, Fiona notices and teases him, hinting to get some action in an empty class. Kamito tells her they've only just met, but the stern look on his face makes her call him Ren. Kamito is shocked that Fiona knows about his cross-dressing past, but that's when Clare arrives and finds them together. She starts cussing Fiona out for putting her hands on Kamito. Fiona shoots her a side eye like she doesn't care. Later, after Clare is briefed about the mission, she seems fine with it, but she hates that Fiona will be sharing her dorm room. Fiona tells her to deal with it, pointing out that the room is a mess, and Kamito agrees just to stay on her good side so she doesn't spill his secret. This also pisses Clare off because Est is staying in the room too, but when Kamito threatens to leave if she keeps complaining, she panics and begs him to stay. She worries that if Kamito leaves, he might end up having 3 baby mamas in 3 days, and Fiona would be one of them. Hearing this makes Fiona question what kind of relationship Clare has with Kamito, and she's shocked when Clare says they're friends with benefits. Deep down, Fiona gets irritated and challenges Clare, setting Kamito as the prize. Clare gladly accepts and summons Scarlet, only for Fiona to mock her for resorting to violence when she didn't mean a real fight. She claims Clare is dumb and insults her relentlessly, which makes Clare lose it. Fiona then proposes a cooking contest instead, and Clare agrees. When Clare finishes cooking, she serves Camito a burnt dish, which he refuses. When it's Fiona's turn, she serves something far more appealing, but when Clare tastes it, her brain dies from too much pepper, and Fiona smiles because that's what she wanted. Later that night, Gio sneaks into the Academy's library while Camito heads to the showers for a quick bath. While he's minding his own business, Fiona decides to join him and shows off her outfit to tease him. Camito turns around and is shocked when he sees her, but then quickly composes himself so he doesn't lose gallons. However, Fiona keeps pushing his limits by offering to wash his back, making the situation even more awkward for him. While he lets out cultural sounds begging her to stop, Clare, who's fast asleep, begins to wake up. At first, she thinks she's dreaming, but when she hears funny sounds coming from the bathroom, she dashes right in and catches Fiona red-handed. Pissed, Clare opts to join them.
Damn good deal.
And Camito begins to regret why he chose to share a room with two thirsty baddies. Just as they begin developing plot, Est enters and reveals that something bad is happening outside. Turns out, Gio has nearly wiped out Ellis's team of knights. Ellis, being the last one standing, charges at Gio with everything she's got, but she gets countered and tossed like dog poop. As Gio tries to finish her off, Clare arrives and saves her, while Camito assumes the offensive to face Gio. Seeing Camito, Gio mentions his name, which shocks him because they've never met before. It's more shocking when Camito learns that Gio can wield two contracted spirits, but Gio says he's in no mood to fight since he's already gotten the sealed documents he came for. Clare attacks him immediately, with Camito following behind to provide support, but Gio runs like a chicken and covers his tracks in the woods. As Clare loses sight of him, Gio uses his superior senses to track them, only to get attacked from the back. Camito manages to block while severing one of Gio's contracted spirits, but when Gio summons another spirit, Camito is shocked because that's the third one in a row. Gio brags that using 3 spirits is nothing, claiming that the late Demon Lord commanded 72 of them, and declares himself the Demon Lord's successor. As he clashes swords with Camito, Clare finally finds them and launches a nasty flame strike at Gio, but Gio reflects it back at her and holds a sword to Camito's neck. Fearing for Camito's life, Fiona throws an enchanted crystal at Gio to push him away, but she freezes when she tries using her magic. Noticing this, Gio lands a nasty strike on her, and Camito reacts quickly to block it, but ends up taking damage himself. After that, Gio runs away, while Fiona passes out from exhaustion. A few years ago, when Rubia went rogue, Fiona tried using her sacred spirit to fight her off, but Rubia overwhelmed her, and she lost her connection with her contracted spirit. In the present, she wakes up and realizes she was dreaming about the past, and then Camito walks in to check on her. She asks Camito if he's okay because he sustained an injury in the fight against Gio, so Camito tells her that Clare helped with his wound. Fiona then apologizes for being useless in that fight, and she blames herself for Camito taking damage because he was trying to protect her. However, Camito thanks her for trying to save him, but then remarks that the enchanted crystal she used yesterday was expensive and he'd like to know more about her. Fiona smiles because she can already tell where he's heading at, so she senses that Clare is eavesdropping and mentions that she'd only talk in private. Hearing this, Clare storms into the room and asks why they are keeping secrets, but when Camito tries explaining things to her, she refuses to listen, so he jumps out the window with Fiona to avoid being barbecued. In the meantime, Rinslet is strolling with Carol, heading for the cafeteria, until she notices Camito and Fiona walking together like a couple. The sight pisses her off, so Carol teases that she cares too much about Camito. As Rinslet tries to deny this, she notices Clare following Camito's tail and wonders what's up with her. When she confronts Clare, she realizes Clare is jealous because her plots can't compare to Fiona's. For the first time, Clare swallows her pride and asks why her plots are so small, so Rinslet explains that there's nothing wrong with her. She also adds that there are dudes who like flat-chested girls, and she shouldn't be ashamed of herself. However, Clare thinks she's throwing shade at her and decides to walk away, but when Rinslet speaks of a way to inflate her melons, she stops to listen. Elsewhere, Camito wanders off with Fiona into the woods and is teased because this feels like a date. Camito cuts to the chase and asks how she knows his real identity, so she starts hinting at the first time they met in the woods in Astral Zero. Since Camito is about as smart as a bald chicken, he takes about 2 hours to recall who she is. When he figures it out, he's shocked that she looks so different, in a good way. However, Fiona isn't exactly pleased because he forgot about her, even when he promised to come back for her. She says she forgives him, then reveals that he's her first love and masks it as a joke, but Camito knows she isn't kidding. When he asks why she came to this school, she teases that she wants to kiss him, but then reveals that it's because she heard about him. She then tells him that she sees a shot at winning the Blade Dance tournament if she joins his team because she wants to reclaim her position and honor. All the while, Rinslet is negotiating with Clare, trying to persuade her into joining Camito's next mission in exchange for the big beautiful plot formula. Clare agrees because having S-ranked plots is a must, but when Rinslet tells her the secret to it, she screams in shock. Back in the woods, Fiona asks Camito if he's mad now that he knows her secret, but he says he's cool with everything. Just then, Ellis shows up and wonders what they are doing alone in the woods, so Fiona makes things worse by holding Camito like they're dating. As a result, Ellis points her blade to Camito's neck, threatening to unalive him, but her comrades advise her to calm down. When she does, Camito asks what she's doing in the woods and learns that she's going to the mining town to find Gio and retrieve the sealed document he stole. Camito smiles because he has a mission at the mines too and then asks to tag along, but Ellis refuses because she wants to handle things with her team. Later that afternoon, Clare rolls around on her bed and is flustered because Rinslet told her to let a guy she likes massage her plots to make them grow bigger. As she recalls this, she begins fantasizing about getting cultured with Camito and having god-tier melons after the session. When she snaps out of it, she begins wondering whether her milkers will grow if she fondles them herself. The following day, Camito prepares to head out for the mission at the mining city and waits for the other girls to join him. When Fiona arrives, Clare mocks her for being a princess who can't ride a horse, so Fiona claps back, saying her riding skills excel elsewhere. While Camito wonders what she means by that, Rinslet introduces herself to Fiona, telling her that she should keep her hands off Camito because he is hers. However, Fiona laughs, bragging that in a battle of plot cannons, she'll definitely win Camito's heart. Finally, they are all set for the trip to the mining city, and the girls are jealous because Fiona gets to share a horse with Camito, and she's taking advantage of it to tease him. Later that evening, they arrive at the mining city and enter a dungeon, where Fiona notices that an unbinding ceremony has already been performed. She says the shrine before them is a camouflage for the real one, and they'll need to search deep into the mine to find the actual shrine. All of a sudden, an earthquake impacts the dungeon, and Camito tells the girls to follow him because there's a battle going on. On a lower floor, Ellis looks tired from an intense battle against Gio, and her attacks are easily parried. As Gio charges to finish her off, Camito arrives with the girls and challenges him to a fight. Seeing that Camito means business, Gio summons a spirit that expels toxic air to slow down Camito's movements, so Ellis counters with her wind magic. Right after, Clare and Camito land progressive attacks on Gio, but the wannabe demon lord comes out unfazed. He begins bragging that Camito has no chance of defeating him, but when Camito starts clashing swords with him, he's shocked when his legendary blade gets shattered to pieces. When he summons another one, Camito shatters it again, but the next one gives Camito trouble, so Clare steps in and restrains Gio with her whip. Despite being outnumbered, Gio breaks free and attacks Clare with icy projections, then he blocks an icy attack from Rinslet. As the smoke clears, Gio restrains Rinslet using another contracted spirit, but when Camito tries to attack, his sword shrinks, signaling that he's lost most of his mana. Gio realizes that he's grown weak and decides to aim a fatal energy bolt at Fiona, so Camito uses what's left of his strength to block it. After taking the blast, Camito lies weak on the ground, so Gio mocks him, saying he is weak because he cares too much about his friends. As Gio comes closer to fight, he brags that his strongest contracted spirit was a gift from Restia, leaving Camito completely shocked. Seeing Camito's weakened state, Fiona steps in to fight on his behalf, so she uses her magic and summons a blood-enchanted stone that overwhelms Gio. After the smoke clears, Gio is nowhere to be found, while Est remarks that he escaped. Out of curiosity, Camito asks Fiona about the stone she just used, so she explains that it's part of her family's heirloom and can store the power of high-level spirits. Clare, on the other hand, recovers and slams Fiona for using pads to make her milkers look bigger, because she saw the real thing when Fiona was using the bloodstone. Feeling shy, Fiona says she had to use pads to hide the bloodstone, and also because she believes Camito is into girls with melons like they're on steroids. Camito scoffs and tells her that some guys might prefer small plots, which makes Clare excited because it means she has a shot at him. Fiona cuts in and says the bloodstone she just used was meant to be her trump card for the tournament, so Camito asks why she's been carrying it around. Fiona reveals that it's because she lost her contracted spirit in the past, and with her rights as a princess revoked, she settled for using spirit stones to give the illusion that she still has a contracted spirit. All of a sudden, another earthquake hits, and Camito fears that the military spirit buried deep in the mine is already awakening. Clare mentions that Gio must have found the shrine and intends to use the stolen sealed document to lift the spirit's seal, but Ellis says it's impossible. She believes this because the document is in code and isn't easy to read. Since time is running out, Rinslet offers to stay back and heal the injured so that Camito, Clare, and Fiona can stop Gio. Surprisingly, S says she knows where the shrine is because she's been there before, so Kamito gives her a head pat for the help, making the other girls jealous. Somewhere in the mine, a weakened Gio meets Restia and gets called a weak noisemaker for not defeating Kamito. In his defense, he says his contracted spirits weren't strong enough, but he begs Restia to show him where Kamito is so they can settle their score. Restia laughs at him, saying that he is no match for Kamito, but when he dares to use her as his contracted spirit, she ignores him and fades away. A bit later, Est finds the shrine and uses her powers to open the doors, earning Kamito another head pat. In the shrine, Fiona prepares to perform the resealing ritual dance, but first stops to purify herself in the shrine's stream. Clare opts to join her for a quick dip, but warns Kamito to keep watch or else his sausage is for dinner. While the girls are bathing, Clare gets curious and asks Fiona if it's true that a girl's plots will grow if a guy she likes rubs them. Fiona laughs after hearing this and tells Clare that her milkers are sure to grow in the next 5 years, only for Clare to start massaging her milk jugs, claiming that she wants to know what they feel like. As a result, Fiona lets out cultured sounds that prevent Kamito from focusing on guard duty. S notices this and asks if listening to the girls is making him happy, but he claims he isn't into that kind of thing. He then points out that he's figured Gio out, and the dude isn't a demon lord product as he claims to be. Est admits this, saying that Kamito is the true demon lord of the bedroom, but Kamito says he isn't a degenerate. Just then, he notices someone approaching and reverts Est to her sword form, only to see that it's Gio. As their battle begins, Gio leaps to a pillar to avoid close-range attacks, but Kamito speeds past him and lands a nasty blow that pins Gio flat on the ground. As Kamito goes for the finishing strike, Gio activates another contracted spirit and pushes him away. Gio's fighting style makes Kamito realize that they are products of the same secret organization. Gio admits this, saying that he's the first success of experiments conducted to artificially bring back the Demon Lord, but Kamito tells him he is a big failure. He remarks that all the contracted spirits Gio uses aren't contracted to him, and that they're all sealed spirits which he can use only once. Hearing this pisses Gio off, so he charges recklessly to prove that he's the real deal, but Kamito sees through his moves and counters with a nasty kick to the face. Gio recovers and summons a flaming spirit to attack Kamito, but Kamito blocks it like it's nothing. When he tries to attack Gio again, the dude counters by using a magic stone to restrict Kamito's movement, then stabs him in the stomach. Rather than back down, Kamito brags that he'll win the fight because he has a team. Before Gio knows it, Clare restrains him with her whip, allowing Fiona enough time to begin her spirit dancing ritual. While she's at it, Gio screams as if he's being blood-bended into submission, and he becomes weak when she's done with him. Just as Kamito is about to begin interrogating him, Restia appears, leaving Kamito speechless. He asks if she's the one who wanted to release the sealed military spirit, and she admits it, saying it's what someone else wishes for. She promises to introduce Kamito to her, but is hesitant since Kamito isn't at his full power yet. Just then, Gio recovers and insists on fighting Kamito again since he's still breathing, but Restia tells him to give up. Since he keeps insisting, she agrees to be his contracted spirit this once and morphs into an overpowered sword, granting Gio enough power to fight. As the battle begins, Gio tries to attack Fiona with black lightning, so Kamito reacts quickly and uses himself as a meat shield to protect Fiona. While he's taking damage, he yells that he won't lose anyone close to him again, but Fiona sees that he's at his breaking point and steps in to help by summoning a spirit. As the spirit materializes, it stalls Gio long enough for Kamito to find an opening and finish him off in one brutal strike. The following day, Kamito wakes up from a long nap and wonders what Restia is planning. He then checks his sheets to see if Est is there as always, but this time he finds Fiona lying with him. When asked what she's doing there, she teases that she was helping to replenish his strength through skin contact. Although Kamito appreciates the help, he straight up tells her that he's not the father, just in case she turns up pregnant.
Yeah, boy.
Fiona tells him not to worry, and then kisses him to calm his nerves down. But that's when Clare walks in and catches them red-handed. In the previous Blade Dance tournament, Eva, Ellis' sister, was up against Kamito, who was cross-dressing as a female named Ren at the time. It was the final match of the tournament, so Ellis wondered if Kamito would be able to keep up with her sister, because Eva was crazy strong. To her shock, the battle only lasted for 2 minutes, and Kamito was pronounced the winner. Since then, Ellis has always idolized Ren, not knowing that it's Kamito. The following week, Kamito wakes up from sleep and is excited that no unclothed girl is under his sheets. In the kitchen, Clare and Fiona are battling over who gets to feed Kamito breakfast, and it turns out that Fiona has slipped a little something into her food to make Kamito get cultured with her at night. Although Clare is against this, Fiona tells her to consider letting Camito smash both of them every once in a while. As Clare considers it, Camito walks in and asks what's going on. Immediately, both girls freeze, but they claim they want to serve him chocolate for the Valentine's Day festival coming up. Clare serves him a burnt offering, all in the name of chocolate, while Fiona serves him a heart-shaped chocolate from her plots.
Nice.
As Camito tries to understand why the girls are going this far for him, Est enters unplotted with chocolate all over her plots, telling Camito to eat. Clare snaps and calls Camito a cultured freak because she thinks he's been teaching Est freaky things like this. Just then, Ellis barges in looking for Camito because she received noise complaints about the room, but she's shocked to find Est unplotted and coated in chocolate. Camito tries to explain himself, saying he has nothing to do with what's going on, but Ellis refuses to listen and knocks him out of the room with wind magic. In the meantime, Freya reports to Greyworth about a group named the Merchants of Murder who have infiltrated the Academy City. She believes that with the Blade Dance tournament approaching, the group will try to sell cursed seals to the students for cash. Realizing this will be a problem for the Academy, Greyworth orders Freya to tighten security around the school. Before Freya leaves, she tells Greyworth that Eva will be returning for the tournament, and there's no doubt that she'll be among the top teams. That afternoon, Camito joins Clare and Fiona to spar against some students in Astral Zero. Clare recognizes her opponents as the same ones from the contracting ceremony and figures that she needs to win this fight by any means. As the match starts, Camito engages one of the girls in a solo fight, but just when he starts dominating, another opponent attacks him from the back. Seeing that he's been sandwiched, Camito shrinks Est to her dagger form and throws it at one of the girls. With her gone, Camito reverts Est to normal sword length and knocks out the other girl like it's nothing, then joins Clare to finish off the rest of their opponents. Clare lands the finishing strike on an enemy contracted spirit, but as she claims victory, a water spirit attacks Fiona and starts getting cultured with her. She lets out happy sounds of pleasure, but snaps out of it and summons a contracted spirit that eliminates the water spirit, securing the win for her team. Later on, Clare brags about winning 3 matches in a row, but fears that they might be up against Ava, because she's the strongest mage in the school. Soon, their previous opponents show up and start mocking Clare for being Rubia's sister. Clare is ticked off by this and hints at a duel, but Camito tells her to calm down because if she fights on school grounds, she won't get into the Blade Dance tournament. Although Clare develops thick skin for the insults, the girls keep tempting her until Rinslet shows up and threatens to bury them in thick ice. Seeing that Rinslet means business, the girls run for their lives, promising to get back at her. After that, Rinslet asks Camito if he's doing a victory celebration for his wins in training, and he says yes. Rinslet then suggests using a restaurant in the Academy City, but Camito refuses because it's too expensive. When Rinslet offers to pay for everything, Clare and Fiona refuse because they don't want to feel indebted to her. Fiona then wonders why Rinslet is so interested in the celebration thing, but that's when Carol shows up and realizes that Rinslet wants to join Camito's team for a meal. Rinslet starts freaking out because this is true, so Clare tells her she's welcome to join them for a meal if that's what she wants. With that settled, Camito begs everyone to wait for him because he recently failed a class and needs to retake it. Later on, he heads to class to study and is shocked to find Ellis there because she doesn't look like the type to fail. Ellis is equally shocked to see him, but quickly says she failed the class because she's been carried away with night duties. After that, she apologizes to Camito for being harsh on him this morning, so Camito brushes it off as no big deal. She then starts reading her books, but when Camito notices that she's only trying to memorize the whole textbook, he tells her that's why she's failing and offers to show her how to study. About 5 minutes in, Ellis gets the hang of it and starts calling him a good teacher. She then asks if he has plans for the evening because she'd like him to tutor her, but Camito says he's already going out. He reschedules for when he's free, and Ellis says she'll look forward to it, but then informs him about the evil group selling cursed spirits around the academy. After the study session, Camito joins Clare and the other girls for a meal, but notices Clare checking out a jewelry shop. When he asks what she's doing, she panics and walks away, claiming she's hungry, but that's when Rinslet arrives and tells Camito that Clare's birthday is tomorrow, which is Valentine's Day. A little later, Camito and the others find a good restaurant to eat at, but the girls are jealous because Camito is giving Est princess treatment. However, what they don't know is that a strange lady named Vivian is watching them, and she seems more interested in Clare. Around sunset, Camito meets up with Ellis as promised for the private tutoring session and tells her to join him at the library, but she refuses, insisting that he follow her to her dorm. Getting there, Camito enters and finds that the place is tidy and that Ellis has good girly taste, as expected of a noble-born. While he sits waiting for her, he sees a motion picture of himself as Ren and realizes he needs to keep his secret, or else Ellis might lose it. The next picture shows Eva, and Camito recognizes her, but as he tries to recall who she is, Ellis enters the room dressed in a maid's outfit. Camito is flustered seeing this side of her, but it makes her wonder if he doesn't like her that way. When asked why she's dressed as a maid, Ellis says she's doing it to make up to Camito for everything he's done for her night order. Earlier, Ellis had discussed with Raka and Restia what to do to make it up to Camito, and they advised her to dress as a maid. As Ellis reveals this, Camito mentions that he isn't into maids, which makes Ellis think that he wants her to wear something more revealing. The thought makes her draw a sword to his neck, so he ends up praising her outfit and begging her to spare his life. A bit later, Ellis serves Camito a meal for dinner, and the dude is flustered when he tastes it because it's delicious. He never expected a girl like Ellis to be good in the kitchen, so he tells her she'll make a stepmommy.
Yeah, boy.
Ellis feels shy after hearing this, but all of a sudden, she tries to force Camito to eat from her hand. After dodging a few dozen times, Camito finally agrees to let her feed him, and he actually likes it. After that, they head outside for a conversation, where Ellis reveals that her roommate will be returning soon, and Camito might not be able to visit anymore. When she mentions that her roommate is Eva, Camito recalls when Clare mentioned the same name earlier and realizes she's Ellis's sister. Ellis admits this, but reveals that she isn't blood related to Eva. She then explains that Eva used to be an honorable knight whom she admired, but now everything's changed. Ellis asks Camito to join her knight order, because most of her comrades have been injured in recent battles, and it'll take a while for them to recover. She also offers to compensate him for his service and reveals that she picked him because many people have lost faith in her team, and she's scared that she isn't producing results. Seeing how sad she is, Camito accepts her offer but begs to be compensated in advance. After their meeting, Camito meets Clare in her dorm and informs her about Ellis's request to join the Knight Order. When he mentions that he's already accepted it, Clare becomes upset and tells him to get out, yelling that she hates him. As he leaves, Clare abandons the chocolate she's making and wets her pillow with tears. Soon, Fiona enters the room and realizes that Clare just had a fight with Camito. She tries to talk some sense into Clare, telling her to be a little honest with herself, but Clare is too sad to listen. The next morning, Ellis addresses the members of the Knight Order to guard that day's Valentine's festival, but while she speaks, some students begin mocking her for being a failure. Camito sees this and realizes that this is what Ellis goes through every day, but just as Ellis is about to introduce him to the group, Eva barges into the room and calls everyone pawns. Ellis is pissed when she hears this, but it gets worse as Eva calls the girls disposable pawns. She believes this because they couldn't capture Gio when he attacked, and she feels Ellis isn't Chad enough to handle the Knight Order. As she keeps roasting Ellis, Camito tells her to zip it, but she refuses and decides to test how good he is by hitting him with wind magic. The blast tosses almost everyone in the room, with only Camito, Ellis, and a few others still standing. Eva starts picking the girls who survived the blast into her own group, and they all willingly join her, leaving Ellis in shock. When Eva asks Camito to join her team, he refuses and says he'll stick with Clare for the tournament, so Eva smirks and leaves, promising to destroy him. That afternoon, as the Valentine's festival begins, the girls on Ellis's side enter the city to keep things in order, while Camito and Ellis join forces to defeat a low-level spirit. After that, Camito notices Ellis feeling bad about the girls who left, so he tells her to cheer up, because it isn't her fault. Despite that, Ellis blames herself, saying that the girls left because she was weak and it hurts because the Knight Order used to be a strong organization with strict discipline. A few years ago, Eva was in charge of the Knight Order, and she ruled with a strict hand. However, her harsh methods provoked a backlash from the proud noble-born students, so she was driven out of office. In the present, Ellis reveals that Eva used to be a great knight and that she wasn't always strict, but now she doesn't see Eva as the perfect role model. Soon, Es calls out to Camito because she's hungry, so Ellis offers some food since she made a lot. While she shares the meal with Camito and Est, her comrades from the Knight Order find her and start teasing her for having Camito all to herself. All the while, Camito is feeding Est by hand, and it doesn't take long for the girls to notice and start teasing that Est is cute. When Est eats her fill, she reverts to her sword form. Just then, Camito notices Clare at a corner and runs after her to see what she's up to. Not long after, Camito finds Clare, but the girl hides something in a bag because she doesn't want him to see it. Realizing she can make up with him for last night, she tells Camito to take her out for lunch so they can catch up, but Camito tells her he's already having lunch with Ellis and asks her to tag along. Immediately, Clare becomes upset that Camito is getting all friendly with Ellis's Knight Order, who insulted her excommunicated sister, Rubia. Soon, Ellis shows up to find out what's going on, but it only pisses Clare off further, so she throws the chocolate she made for Camito at him and runs away in tears. In the meantime, Vivian approaches Raka and Restia, asking if they'd like to get powerful enough to defeat Clare. Later on, Clare is in the woods, wondering why Camito picked the Night Order over her when she was already willing to make up with him. As she recalls that today is her birthday, she brushes it off and decides to focus on getting stronger so she can finally meet her sister. However, she snaps out of her thoughts when Vivian appears out of nowhere to see her. In the meantime, Camito is off on a walk with Ellis, wondering where Clare ran off to. On the other hand, Ellis is flustered because she feels like she's on a date with Camito. When Camito notices her mood, she begins walking faster and ends up bumping into people. Camito holds her hand to prevent her from falling, but since it's the first time a guy has held her hand like that, she starts yelling that he's her first. This misleads everyone watching into thinking Camito smashed her. But she quickly corrects the narrative, saying it's her first time holding a guy's hand. Deep down, she likes it and wants Camito to keep holding her. While they walk, she stops by a store and stares at a fancy dress, saying it wouldn't fit an alpha lady like her. However, Camito tells her the dress would look good, and that he'd like to see how it fits. His comment flusters Ellis, but as she turns red, he asks her why she decided to become a knight. Ellis says it's because she admired Eva, but adds that Eva changed after she fought and lost the battle against Ren at the last Blade Dance tournament. Camito feels bad hearing this. He asks Ellis if she hates Ren for defeating Eva, but Ellis says she doesn't hate Ren and is actually drawn to how she fights. Camito claps back, saying that Ren had no noble goal when compared to Ellis, but Ellis refuses to believe this and is sure that Ren fought for someone else. Hearing this gives Camito a sense of relief, so he smiles at Ellis and asks her to go shopping with him. Meanwhile, Clare is trapped in the woods with Vivian, who is trying to make her accept a cursed spirit. At first, it looks like it's working, but when Clare recalls that Camito hates her fire being tainted, she breaks free and tells Vivian to scram. However, she's attacked by a hypnotized Raka and Restia, who accepted Vivian's corrupted power. A little later, Camito finishes getting a gift for Clare, and then hears an explosion a few clicks away. As he charges in with Ellis to see what's going on, he finds that Raka and Reshia's contracted spirits have gone berserk, so he summons S to fight. Ellis tries to land an attack on one of the contracted spirits, but it blocks and tosses Camito to the ground. As Camito recovers, he sees a girl about to be sliced by the spirit, so he dashes in and manages to save her in time. In doing so, he gets stabbed from the back, but it doesn't stop him from facing the spirit head-on. As he charges toward it, Ellis gives him a speed boost, allowing him to land a nasty hit, but it doesn't deal any damage. Soon, Clare arrives and lends a hand, but just as they're about to attack the spirit together, Eva shows up and neutralizes it, causing civilian casualties in the process. Pissed, Camito calls her out on this, but she brags that she neutralized the berserk spirit and that he should be thanking her. She then mocks Ellis for lacking the strength to fight, but as Eva walks away, Camito demands that she take those words back. When she refuses, Camito attacks her, but a single strike from Eva knocks him out cold. The following day, he wakes up in pain and eats the chocolate Clare made for him. When Clare enters the room, happy to see that he's awake, he thanks her for the chocolate and remarks that she made it well. After that, Camito tries to get out of bed, but Clare insists he stay put since he's in no condition to walk. Once she tells him that he's been out for a whole day, he realizes he's already late to give Clare her birthday gift, but gives it to her anyway. Seeing it, Clare is shocked, but when Camito explains that he begged Ellis to pay him for his service up front, she realizes why he joined the Night Order in the first place. She becomes sad and apologizes for kicking Camito out of her dorm, but just as they're about to share a makeup kiss, Fiona enters and ruins everything. She then reveals that tomorrow's sparring matches have been announced, and Camito's team is up against Eva's. Camito is excited to hear this because he'll get to face Eva and make her pay for insulting Ellis, but Clare says it ain't happening because he's weak. However, Fiona steals the show by suffocating Camito with her milk jugs because she feels he might recover his length and strength. Although Clare knows she means well, she can't exactly stand Fiona having fun with Camito, so she pulls her away. Not long after, Rinslet enters and starts running her mouth about how she can take down Eva's cursed spirit. Carol translates this as Rinslet's way of saying that she wants to join Clare's team, so Camito holds her and begs her to join. As a result, Rinslet's cheeks turn red, but she agrees and starts bragging to Clare that she only joined because Camito asked her to. Later on, Clare barges into Ellis's dorm and finds the girl sitting depressed. Seeing that Ellis is letting Eva's words get to her, she tries rage-baiting Ellis into remembering why she fights, and it works. As Ellis comes to her senses, Clare begs her to join her team against Eva, but she refuses because she can't abandon Raka and Restia. However, Raka and Restia enter the room, telling Ellis that she's free to join Clare because they're still recovering from their injuries. With no choice, Ellis agrees to join Clare, and it becomes official. That night, Vivian meets Eva in the woods, but Eva tells her to scram because she doesn't want to see her. Vivian smiles and tells her she's only there to see how much Eva's heart has corroded because of the cursed spirit she planted in her. However, Eva tells her she's fine as long as she lives long enough to reach the next Blade Dance tournament and face Ren. In the meantime, Ellis meets Camito and gives him a Valentine's Day gift, claiming it's for his service as a knight. Deep down, she's giving it to him because she's fallen for him, but she refuses to admit it. The following day, Clare and her team assemble at the Astral Gate for their fight against Eva's team, and all the students are in attendance to watch. Camito is in the crowd because he's in no shape to fight, but he feels confident that Clare's side will win. At the start of the match, Clare's side teleports to Astral Zero, where they begin planning how they'll attack Eva's side. All of a sudden, Ava shows up in her contracted spirit, and they're shocked because Ava didn't come with a teammate. She claims she can take Clare's team by herself and decides to prove it by firing multiple energy blasts from her cannons. After Eva fires a couple of shots, she's impressed that Rinslet shoots all of them down. Rinslet then fires multiple icy arrows that hold Eva in place, allowing Clare and Ellis to land a combined magical blast on her. As an explosion occurs, Clare's side starts rejoicing, thinking they've won, but they're shocked when the attack only cripples Eva's flight systems. Eva then charges to attack again, but this time Fiona deploys her contracted spirit to block, while Clare and Ellis follow up with another combined magical attack. Despite all that, Eva comes out unfazed and starts attacking Clare's side again, making the students watching assume that it's a one-sided match. Watching closely, Camito realizes it must cost a lot of mana for Eva to maintain her form, and he remarks that she's stronger than the last time he fought her. Back at the battlefield, Ellis begins to lose hope because Eva hasn't taken any damage, so Clare cheers her up, reminding her that she promised her friends a win. Clare then moves in and attacks Eva head-on, but stops and focuses on melting Eva's armor with magic. While Eva boasts that her armor is impenetrable, Rinslet shoots an icy arrow at the spot Clare was melting, causing a crack in Eva's suit. From there, Ellis lands a powerful wind attack on Eva that destroys her armor and sends her crashing to the ground. As Eva recovers, she loses control of her contracted spirit, so when S sees this, she informs Camito that Eva is using a cursed seal. Back on the battlefield, Clare's team tries to stop Eva's berserk form, but they end up getting trapped and drained of their mana. Figuring they'll die if the match keeps going, Camito begs S to grant him strength, then teleports to Astral Zero to face Eva. At first, he saves the girls from being drained to their deaths, but they're shocked to see him there since he shouldn't be fighting. After that, Camito confronts Eva to settle their score and begins attacking her using his speed. When Eva restrains him with her magic, Camito easily breaks free and then lands hundreds of rapid attacks, leaving Clare and the others completely shocked. They start questioning if Camito fights better when he's injured, while Ellis realizes that Camito fights just like Ren. After dealing heavy damage to Eva, Camito realizes he's running low on mana, so he decides to finish the fight with his next strike. All of a sudden, Eva regenerates her lost limb and turns it into a lance. Ellis is scared as she watches, because Eva with a lance is deadly, meaning Camito is cooked. Fearing for Camito's life, Fiona uses what little magic she has left to heal him, then passes out immediately after. With Camito's wounds healed, he becomes agile enough to fight at full strength, so Clare and the others support him and hold Eva in place long enough for him to land the finishing strike. As he stabs Eva's contracted spirit in the heart, Eva sees him clearly and realizes that he's the same person as Ren, and she's frustrated that she lost to him again. Camito tells her not to feel bad because he had help from Clare and the other girls, but before he knows it, she passes out from exhaustion. Elsewhere, Vivian laughs at this happening and then hints at experimenting on Camito next time because he's shown potential. However, Greyworth appears behind her and scolds her for infecting students with cursed seals. It turns out Vivian used to be Greyworth's student, which is why Greyworth could tell she was the culprit. Vivian is a bit shocked that Greyworth would go this far to protect her students, and she starts shaking when Greyworth licks her lips because she knows she's cooked. Just then, Greyworth unleashes a cursed spirit on her, which consumes her flesh, and leaves only her clothes behind. Restia watches this play out and says she won't let Camito be used, however, Greyworth pleases, but she disappears before Greyworth can attack her. Later that day, Clare, Fiona, and Rinslet all serve Camito their cakes, begging him to take a bite. Seizing the opportunity, Fiona grabs Camito and whispers that he can have her after eating her cake, and makes Clare jealous. Soon, Ellis arrives in a stunning dress, and Camito realizes he might just settle down and start a family. Earlier, Eva apologized to Ellis for everything she did and begged Camito to take care of her. Now, Camito tells Ellis that he likes her dress, but the other girls get jealous and start feeding him their cakes, hoping to win him for the night. The following day, it's official that Clare's team will be representing the school in the Blade Dance tournament, and Kamito is excited that he'll get to fight again. That brings us to the end of today's video. To be honest, writing this with one hand was hard, so do me a favor and like and subscribe. If you like anime recaps like this, watch this next video, but stay focused, brothers.